Welcome everybody, and many thanks to the cadets joining us today from the pipes and drums. Each cadet is going to introduce themselves.
So my name's Sergeant Fergus McClintock. I go to 132 North Berwick Squadron, and my role within the pipes and drums is the pipe major.
My name's Corporal James Brown, 264 Skipton Squadron, and I am technically a drum sergeant.
My name's Corporal Devana. I'm a cadet at 297 Musselburgh Squadron, and I'm one of around 14 pipers in the band.
So what the pipe major role entails is being in charge of the pipe section. Obviously, the band is subdivided into pipers and drummers, and as pipe major, it's my job to make sure that not only that the pipers themselves know the tunes, but that they're keeping on top of instrument care, and just the general well-being of the pipe corps within the band, on parade and off parade.
The role I have basically entails me as the drum major is in charge of the drum corps. I'm in charge of having the musical side of it, and if they're playing things correctly and tuning up the drums. That's my role, and working with the pipe major to produce a drum score.
That was really interesting, and thanks for that. Can you tell me about another event you've been to?
We played at Horse Guards Parade down in London with the Household Division and the Royal Regiment of Scotland Military Band. So we played on both nights, and that was a really good experience for all the cadets. We also played along with the ACF and CCF.
Well, annually we get to play at the Royal International Air Tattoo, so we do that every year, and that's one event that I particularly enjoy. So we spend a few days up at Looker Station practicing, getting ourselves ready to go perform, and then we'll go down, do a couple of performances each day of the event.
Probably the highlight of my time in the pipes and drums last year, along with the ACF, by the Army Cadet Force Pipes and Drums, we played for the Queen while she was staying at her her Highland residence up at Balmoral, and that was really good because certain members of the band, I think all three of us that were here, we were all introduced to the Queen, and we shook her hand and we exchanged a few words with the Queen. So that's probably one of the highlights of my time in the pipes and drums.
So you wrote the tune for the Commandant's dedication?
Yeah, that's right. So within pipe music, there's a rich tradition of tunes being written to commemorate people and events, and I've been toying about with writing a tune for a wee while, and then when we heard that the Commandant was retiring from her position, the band decided it would be really fitting if we sort of got a tune together, got it recorded, and that she was able to hear it before she went, as happened despite the lockdown. So
when you were writing this piece of music, we all saw a video on her retirement day of you all practicing in a room. Some of you were in civilians' clothes, some of you were in greens. Was that the first time you'd played it?
The band, we had played and rehearsed it before that, but we haven't been practicing it for years. It was quite new, and lots of work at home went into making sure that the band was able to play like the standard that we did. So yeah, when we recorded it, the Major Monroe of the Army Cadet Force was kind enough to let us use his equipment that he had in Redford Barracks up in Edinburgh. So we spent the day there doing a bit of recording so that we could play it to the Commandant. So the idea initially was that you were going to rehearse it and play it properly, weren't you? Was that in the April camp? Yeah, so a live performance was going to be done during her retiral dinner, I think was the original plan.
See.
And then the recording that we did, it was just going to go along with a video, and that was going to be something separate. But then COVID-19 happened, so we thought, well, we've got a recording, we've got the tune, we might as well play it to her before she goes.
I bet you were really proud to see it being played actually on her leaving ceremony.
Yeah, well, it took time to write the tune and to get the band playing the tune. And it's quite nice to see someone get emotional over the tune that you've written, appreciating like the work that went into it.
No, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it as well. Corporal Brown, so you wrote the drum score together with your dad, C.I. Brown, for the Commandant's dedication. Could you tell me a little bit about how you wrote it?
Yes, ma'am. So as you said, I did write it with my dad, C.I. Brown. And what happened was we got sent the music down, which Sergeant McClintock wrote, and we worked out what we'd need to emphasise. And then also I then got Sergeant McClintock to send a recording of it, and then we went through it, getting the middles and endings of each part and bar, and then working from there to see what fits and what doesn't, and then we got the score after that.
So when you write your drum score, do you write actually all the notations down?
Yeah, we get a rough idea in our head of what we want to play, which will fit with the tune, and then we transpose it into, we move it onto the sheet music and write it out by hand. So
if you are a drummer of a reasonable standard, would you be able to play the part that you've written?
Yes, there's rudiments in there which are of some higher standard, but they're I'm going to give credit to Flight Sergeant Ed, which he got given the music on that day when we were recording, and he picked it up really well. So it is a tune which people can pick up, and if you're a reasonable standard and a good snare drummer.
Could you talk us through the drum and the difference between the drum you use and the drum that's used in a normal band?
So this here is a high tension snare drum. The difference between this and a normal marching band drum is it has two snares, top snare and a bottom snare, and it's a tighter head to make the pitch higher to coincide with the bagpipes. And this, what I'm wearing, is a harness which goes onto the drum. The harness originated from American marching bands because when they perform, they move all around the football pitch when they perform. They move all around, and this keeps the drum in place instead of having a sling with a leg rest, because that makes it harder to move and perambulate the football pitch. So this attaches to the drum, and then you play it as follows. The high tension snare drum came from when the bagpipes were two companies. There was two bagpipes per company, and that could up to sometimes 8 companies in a battalion. So you could have 16 pipers. And then when that all happened, they started trying to march troops to it, but it was a disaster because they couldn't keep to tempo. So then they nicked the bass drummer from the Fifeson drums, which fundamentally they also nicked the snare drum. But at that time, they put it in front, the snare drums in front of the bagpipes. But then the officers complained, as they always do, that they spent too much money on the highland dress in dressing up the pipers, and they weren't getting seen as the drummers were still in MOD kit. So they moved the pipers to the front, and that is where you get the snare drums at the back now. The different style of drumming came from Switzerland because the grace notes of the bagpipes, they couldn't keep up type of thing. So they had to change the rudiments, which is where you got the subdivision of the Swiss triplet and the Swiss rough. And then that's where you got it into different compound times, and then that's basically how the high tension snare came along. There we are.
Okay, so when you first decide that you'd like to learn the bagpipes, you don't go into the bagpipes straight away. You learn how to create the notes on something called a practice chanter. So the practice chanter splits up into 2 pieces. So you've got your blow stick on the top, and you have the chanter on the bottom, which has all the finger holes. And depending on how many holes are covered, creates the different notes. And in the middle, you've got a reed, which that vibrates, and that's what creates the sound. So once you've once you've learnt the practice chanter and you've learnt a couple of tunes, and your instructor feels you're ready to move on to the next stage, you can buy a set of bagpipes. So the bagpipes are similar to the practice chanter, and in that you've got your blow stick and you've got your chanter, and then inside you've got your reed. But the thing that makes the pipes different from the practice chanter is you also have a bag and you've got your drones. So the pipes work by blowing into the bag, so filling the bag full of air, and then you push the air up through the drones, because the drones also have reeds in them, and they're a constant sound, a sort of deeper sound, and then you also push the air through the chanter, which is what creates melody. So you blow into the bag, and that puts the air through the pipes, and then when you need to take a breath, that's when you use the bag. So you squeeze the bag to continue pushing the air through the pipes, and then you blow in again to fill the bag up, and the cycle repeats.
There's Could you tell me about the uniform you wear?
Certainly, ma'am. I'm joined by my brother, Cadet Bran from 264 Skipton Squadron, and he is in our Highland dress uniform. We wear this on occasions up at Inverness, Edinburgh Castle, Horse Guards Parade, and Balmoral, and other events which we shall be in this dress. At the top, we have the Glengarry. With the Glengarry, we also have the Cat Badge, which is the Air Cadet badge, and then John, do you want to explain the patrol jacket or something like that?
Then next we have a patrol jacket, which is fully up the collar, so it's similar to a #1 jacket that you get, apart from it goes all the way up, and it's got this collar thing here.
Moving down, you'd have to mention these.
What's that? What's for?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. So moving down, we've got the sporran. The purposes of sporran is Google it because it's safeguarding, and we have the kilt. John, to explain the kilt.
So a kilt has a front apron and a back apron. The front is mostly flat, where you iron it flat, and the back has these pleats to it, if you can see that.
Knife edge pleats.
Knife edge pleats. And when you wear a kilt, depends on the tartan, but with this, the white line has to go down the center, so it's nice and equal.
Moving down, we have the socks or hose and the flashes.
Is that a special tartan?
It is, ma'am. It's the RAF, the Royal Air Force tartan, which you'll see the RAF bands wearing on parades.